Yes, before Kratos was a badass hellbent on the destruction of the god of war, he was a badass who wanted to be hellbent on the destruction of the god of war, which is still pretty badass. God of War Ascension. So God of War Ascension is another God of War game for the PlayStation 3, and it takes place before God of War 1. The story of God of War Ascension is Kratos wants to break his bond with Ares, but you can't just do that, I guess. We were told you could in the previous games, but well, I guess the fact is you cannot, because we need another God of War game, duh. So for Kratos to break his bond and break his oath with the God of War Ares so he can kill him, he has to take on the three sisters, the Furies, and go through a myriad of other puzzles, and realms, and levels, and get new trinkets, and it's a God of War game. You know it by now. Now, if you're a fan of the God of War games, you're gonna be right at home with God of War Ascension. It's fun. Is it perfect? No, but it's a lot of fun. You're going through, you got your blades of chaos, you're slashing through guys. The thing I didn't like about the combat in this game is in the previous God of War games, you spend your red orbs, you get new abilities, you get new attacks, new combos, and you go forth and unleash those on the demonic dipshits. In this game, you buy the new combos with orbs, yeah, but you gotta build up your rage meter. Then you can use those combos. The rage meter is this meter where you build it up by hitting guys and not getting hit yourself. So really, you gotta string together a bunch of combos. Your rage meter goes up to the point where, oh, now it's filled up. Now you can unleash the beast. You know that one, you know, the hit, goes back, it's all slow-mo, and then boom! God of War standard right there? Yeah, those moves. However, if you get hit by enemies, that meter will drop, so now it's not full anymore, so you gotta build it back up. Some of these enemies though, they hit you hard and that meter just goes away. You're like, great, now I gotta start over. Which does result in a number of these combat situations that you get into being like, hit, dodge, hit, dodge, hit, dodge. Sweet, rage meter's up, boom, 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 boom. Oh, I got hit, dodge, hit, dodge. Kinda takes away from the fun of God of War. The other God of War games knew what it was, it knew what you wanted, and it gave it to you. You bought combos and abilities with orbs, go crazy. Here they are. They're all yours right now. I get in terms of the story, Kratos is not as enraged as he is in the other God of War games. You have to get him enraged, so they illustrate that with this rage meter. But it does feel like you're playing a nerf-bat version of God of War combat. And they want to make it more challenging for you to pull off being full-fledged Kratos, because when you pull it off, you're like, I earned that. A lot of the combat in God of War Ascension does feel like nerfed-down God of War combat. The game is still fun, and everything is just big. The cinematography is great. You hook onto things, you flip around. There's a lot of those annoying parts where it's like, ooh, push square now. Oh, you didn't, you died. You're like, I didn't know I had to push square, damn it. A lot of that in this game, but when you do pull those off, you also do feel like a badass. The camera follows Kratos down, and he's slicing onto big, huge things. He's swinging around their heads, and he's taking their claws and ramming them into their faces. And you do get new items. There's this one item, it's the coolest item in the game. You can heal or DK items. It's meant for puzzles. You can't just do it to anything. You activate this amulet, you're like, oh, heal it, and the bridge comes back, or you can DK it. It's really cool, but the game is still linear. It's not like you're creating alternate paths. And it does make you question the game. There will be times where it's like, oh, that statue just broke apart. I can't go that way. It's like, well, you have an amulet. You could just heal the statue and then go into the cave. But you can't, because the game doesn't want you to go into the cave. It wants you to go around, which turns me into a 5-year-old because I just keep going, oh, but why? A little bit of inconsistency with this item, but the item was cool. And when the gameplay wants to be controller breaking tough, it's controller breaking tough. This one scene, everyone who's played this game knows this scene. You're going up in this elevator and you are just fighting dudes. But it's not just dudes, it's like 3 Medusas who all whip you with their tails, and these electrical witch bitches who are shooting electricity at you. Hit, dodge, hit, dodge. Ooh, the Medusa's gonna swing at you with her tail, dodge that. The other one's gonna swing, dodge that. The other one's gonna swing, dodge that. Great, now the first one's cooldown is done, so now it's gonna swing with its tail. At a point, you're like, this is a complete dodge fest. And that's case in point. If I were just able to be badass Kratos like the other God of War games, I could just tear shit into these people. But I can't, because the game won't let me. I hated that elevator, though. I hated it. The multiplayer is pretty fun too. Multiplayer is in everything these days. Multiplayer isn't a new thing, but it's very marketable. Everyone wants multiplayer in their game, so God of War now has multiplayer. It's pretty standard multiplayer modes. You know, you got capture the flag, you're all out. Team-based battles, you know, you've seen all the modes before. What I really liked about it though, is you choose which god you worship, and that gives your guys special abilities. I thought that was really cool. You can customize the armor, and you can't deny the multiplayer is fun. There's something about someone attacking you and kicking the shit out of you, and 2 of your guys come to your aid, and then you start kicking the piss out of that guy, and then you join in the fight. You guys just tear the shit out of that guy. You're like, we're Spartans! More than that, we're bros! And like I said before, there is a big part of me that feels like they're adding lore to God of War for the sake of adding lore, for the sake of making a new game. You know, in God of War 1, it's like, after Kratos' family was killed, he knew Ares was his true enemy. There was actually a lot of stuff that happened in between that called God of War Ascension, but I'm gonna forget to mention it right here. Really strange, isn't it? But the game does fit into lore, and if it doesn't perfectly fit into lore, it's at least fun enough for you to be like, yeah, I'll let it fit into lore. After that, it's all subjective as to whether or not you feel like a 9-hour single-player campaign is worth dumping 60 bucks on, but I will say that God of War Ascension is worth buying at full price. It's not as good as God of War 3, but it is more of what I love about God of War, and it is a good addition to the series. So if you played God of War Ascension, what did you think, and what is your favorite God of War game? Whatever it is, comment below, let me know. And as always, if you like what you've seen here and you want to see more, click right here to see more.